Okay, here's the second video in the series of building the Taro 960 multi-rotor. It's actually the third video. I went ahead and I assembled the whole frame. Didn't really follow the instructions. Got to a certain point. Everything was together. The arms were there. Wiring harness was built. And found out that I'd skipped a crucial step and I had to disassemble everything. So I'm back to square one. I'd even made the video and everything. So I'm just going to reshoot everything and re-talk about everything. And I'll explain where I went wrong here in just a second. First things first. I bought this power distribution board, and one of the reader reviews on the website I bought it from said, oh yeah, it just bolts right up to the Taro 960, no problem. Well, turned out that guy lied or something, because it doesn't fit in any way, shape, or form. I wasted my money on this. Looking back at it now, I don't even think a power distribution board is the right way to go with this frame. So I went ahead and I built a wiring harness. So this is it already assembled with the positive and negative both here. But basically I took a large 8-gauge wire and come in from my main bus from my battery, and then it just splits off into all the branches to all the ESCs, and it also 2 extra leads for the IMU power and the gimbal and FPV system. So here's what I did wrong. When I went to assemble the arms, I said, oh crap, I forgot to put the ESCs, control wires, they come in this way, so I'll need to go ahead and pull these through, right? So that's exactly what I did. I pulled them through and I patted myself on the back for remembering to do that. So the ESC goes this way, and then the power harness will come in through here, right? So this is all ready to go. Assembled everything, and I figured these were just split pieces that would come apart and I would put them back together. Well, it turns out they're not. They're actually one piece. There is a split line here on it, but that's just for compression for it to mount on the arm. It does not come apart, and therefore I've got this ESC on the arm, and with no way to go put the arm over top of it. It would just, the ESC won't go through the hole, and otherwise than that, the wire's in the way. So I had to pull everything back apart, which is, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's I guess it's better than nothing. So now I'm going to go ahead, put all the arms, the end pieces on the motor mounts, then put the ESCs in, pull the wires back through, which come not out the end of the arm, but out a side hole. Then I'll go ahead and assemble take the wire harness and put it all together, lay it all out, and then put the top plate on and clamp it all down. One of the problems I had with this is you need like 6 arms to do this. So one of the things, I've already got the little locking devices for the folding arms here installed, and I've already put all the bottom brackets for the 2 static tubes in. And what I did was I taped those down. Now the actual landing gear mounts, these brackets are a little bit different than the rest. They actually stick down a little bit. I don't know if you can see that or not. Well, the problem is then it would just kind of ride high on the board here, and everything's just a real pain in the ass to put together. Like I say, you need 6 arms to do this. So I built this little jig here. I drilled some holes and then squared them off. So now these parts that extend down will fit in here, and this fits nice and flush. And then I got to thinking, the arms that pivot here, they pivot with some studs, with some nuts on the bottom and some bolts that go through. And there's all this stuff that goes in there. It's got to be all captured together. So in addition to recessing out a hole for my studs down below here, I also went and purchased some metric studs, and I will be able to pre-thread these in to where now I'll go ahead and lay everything down, build it all, capture it, and then put the top plate on. I'll grab it with these nuts first, these studs here. I'll pull these wing nuts off and get these little bolts here on, and then I should be able to flip it over real quick. These will line up real close and get all those threaded in, and then put the top bolts in at last. Pull these temporary studs out, put the top bolts in, hoping it all holds together. It was quite the pain in the ass. getting back to the instructions, there's not really any instructions at all. It just says number 1, and it's got a picture of the motor mounting plate. Number 2, it's got a picture of the arm tube here, the pivoting arm. Number 3, it's got a picture of these. I bypassed number 1, figuring I'd just come back to it later, and it turned out you can't bypass number 1. You got to put the arms on first, which means you got to do the ESCs at the same time. I went ahead and did a throttle cal on my ESCs. I shrink wrapped the additional capacitors on because I'm using long wire ESCs. And so I'll go ahead and put all this together and get some pictures of it, and hopefully everything will turn out good. And we'll just do a big time lapse of it all and talk when I get it all finished. All right, here goes. All right, here it is. First step is done. I've got all the wires pulled through. I had to pull the motor mount plates off. It made it a lot easier to get the wires through. The ESCs are temporarily zip tied on. Control wires are pulled back. The main power leads are pulled through. And everything's kind of here. You can see how stiff this harness is. And it's really hard. Everything's kind of binds on itself. So it's going to be real tough to get everything set down, to get this plate on and get it tightened up. And that's kind of why I'm hoping my little jig here helps. It definitely helped the first time before I had to take it apart. So we still got a little ways to go, but we'll I have to pull these wing nuts off and these screws off of there, and we'll dive into this thing and get it all going. Hopefully it'll turn out good. And there it is. Quite the task, actually, getting this thing all together. But I finally got it, and everything's looking good. So it's just a matter of going to the next phase, which is working on getting the motors mounted, all the Bulid connectors and everything soldered on for my power leads, and starting to get this thing going. Do some testing on it. Pretty good. I still got to figure out how I'm going to mount my flight controller. Looks like I'll have enough room with all my leads, but there's no way to mount this. So I'll think of something. I have some extra carbon fiber. I'll probably rig something up to where my flight controller's right on top there. And then that's it. We're getting into the mounting the motors and getting the ESCs, everything powered up for the first time. And get my battery leads done too. So, all right, that's it for this video.